What is going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today we're going to show you the insane war we're battling against 5 kingdoms at the same time in one zone. Has this happened in a KVK before? Let's talk about it. Alright, my friends, in this video we're going to do a couple things. We're going to talk about the crazy war going on right now in Lost Kingdom 111. Is there a more insane Lost Kingdom? Our allies seized control of the right-hand half of the map, and they're working their way up. But at the same time, we've got crazy war going on. All 5 kingdoms have built into our zone. Count the number of forts they built. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 forts. 13 forts coming at us, and if you count the ones up in the pass over here, 14, 15, I don't know. I can't keep track. The map is insane. We're having a crazy time. We got reports, but the thing we're going to talk about in this video, is how do you assess the power of a kingdom? How do you assess whether or not a kingdom would be a good ally? How do you assess whether or not a kingdom would be conquerable? And this has been a pretty even fight in a lot of ways in terms of the battling back and forth and the holding of ground. And again, like, kudos to the folks that we're playing against. And of course, huge appreciation and gratitude for our allies, for their sacrifices and the hard work that they're putting in. This has been an insane KVK. In my opinion, everyone is deserving of rewards here because they're all so awesome in all kingdoms, but whatever. we're at war now, so let's talk about how you assess the power of a kingdom. There's a couple things that you need to look at that I think are really important. First and foremost, you've got to look at just raw power of the alliances that are present. Alliances that are over like 3.5 billion to 4 billion power, I'd say you can count them in your calculus. Less than that, probably not. So the first thing you look at is, what is the alliance power of the kingdoms that you are assessing? So that is the baseline metric for evaluating the power of a kingdom. What is the combined power of the alliances that are over, let's say, 3.5 billion power or 4 billion power? From there, you need to multiply their effectiveness. And we have found, obviously, that a multiplier of effectiveness is commanders. Which kingdom has invested the best in their commanders and has the kinds of whales that are going to put those commanders to good use, because they're not like, oh yeah, I show up, I spend my money and win some commanders, and then I do nothing with them. Anyways, I don't know, man. Some people do that. So you got to evaluate the strength of the commanders. Now, the strength of the commanders then becomes a multiplier on the power of the kingdom that you're evaluating. As an example, our kingdom has tons of expertise, Wu Zetians and Constantines, and we've got some Attila Takedas and all these other commanders, right? Like, we have dozens of people that can lead rallies effectively and defend stuff effectively. That is a multiplier for the effectiveness of your kingdom, because at the end of the day, you're looking at that base factor, power of the kingdom, and you're then comparing to the multiplier. Let's see here. The multiplier that is effectively, how many troops are you going to kill versus lose in a fight, right? So we've been showing some crazy reports recently. Here, a flag, I think, was accidentally swarmed. So this is not a great example. Here's an example of a report that went even, actually. This is a report that went even, right? So if you can have activated strong commanders all the time, in this case, it's an Attila Takeda battling into a Wu Richard, that can do really well for you. Of course, often we're more on the delivering end of that Attila Takeda madness, and someone left their friend in a flag. You don't usually get trades like that. You might get more trades like this, a 2-for-1, or almost a 3-for-1, right? So that's the multiplier, is the strength of your commanders. You'd say, aha, our commanders are so strong, we get 3-for-1 value on the power base of our kingdom as a whole. See where I'm driving with that? A couple more. Someone left the friend behind. Someone else left the friend behind. Here's another one that's not quite a 2-for-1. Pretty good defense put on by Chris B91, who I think is one of the kings of that kingdom, and I've chatted with them, and they're lovely. Ooh, swarming. Oh, God. See, this was a really decent trade for them in the grand scheme of things, given that they're using, season 1 / release of the game level commanders to battle into Attila Takeda, which are the meta right now. However, deaths like this kind of offset the edge that they had in that defense. Anyways, so you have to factor in, like, what kind of multiplier. Here's a 2-for-1. What kind of multiplier do you think you're going to get? I think their Wu Zetian is not expertise, which, again, commander strength is a multiplier for the effectiveness of the kingdom. Volume of players who have those commanders should be a part of that calculus. Ouch, abandoned flag. Oh my. What an abandoned flag. Oh boy. Oh boy. Could have been worse, actually. I thought that would have been worse. Okay, could have been worse. Could have been worse. Oh my God, these reports go on forever. Whatever. We will do a video at some point with all of those reports. We did 2 videos previously. Cards will be up in the top. If you want to see more insane Attila Takeda reports, multiplier for the effectiveness of your kingdom. The next thing that we need to go and take a look at in terms of evaluating the sort of effectiveness and strength of a kingdom is going to be their past performance. What is the past performance of the kingdom that you're assessing? In part, how have they done in previous KVKs? In part, one way that you can look at past performance, is by evaluating things like alliance kills or individual kills. Now, I'm going to say this very clearly, that in general, past performance is the best indicator of future performance that we have, but it's very hard to predict what's going to happen in the future either way, right? So if you've done the thing before, that might be a good indicator you could do it again. And in this case, the kills are an interesting measure because it shows how much some of these groups have fought in the past. Now, the thing that I think is flawed about this as a measure is that some of this is really what I would call a vanity metric. It looks good, but might not mean anything. So, for instance, the number of kills that a kingdom has might be relatively low, even though they're strong fighters, because they don't field fight. All they do is send their troops to die, and they don't do Mighty Governor field fighting. They just send their troops to die in war. And it's very hard to make an assessment, which is why a factor like this alone is not going to help you evaluate for your KVK what you should do next. The next thing that we should be looking at, and this is similar to commander base, is individual power of players. This is a pointer to commander strength, but is not what defines commander strength, as I was describing earlier. This can help influence what you might put for commander strength. I tend to think that the higher power players have a lot more willingness to lose a lot of troops and keep on fighting. We have a lot of high power players that they lose their troops and they're like, yeah, I just train more. What's the big deal? And then I get, Mighty Governor commanders and I train more troops and we're back at it again. That's the mindset I'm sort of taking toward my cavalry. I've depleted down to a March of T5 and a March of T4, and I'll keep depleting Mighty Governors tomorrow. I'll train new ones and we just go again. That's what troops are for. And that's a separate topic for a video about how to think about your troops and to troop responsibly. We'll cover that. So when you look at what is the top player and their willingness to sort of fight, this is a multiplier, in my opinion. Multiplier, let me be more careful. This influences your commander sort of multiplier as you think about that, because it's perhaps a reflection of their willingness to use those commanders relentlessly until they're out of troops. So those are some ways that you can evaluate the strength of a kingdom. You know, King Talib getting rallied now. Is this really about to happen? Is this really about to happen? I'd be shocked if he was offline. I would be so shocked if he was offline. He loves this kind of stuff. Where is Talib? Where is Talib? Oh boy. I guess we'll figure it out. Canceled? Looks like they canceled. Yeah, that's... This KVK has been insane. There's been zeroing. There's been madness. And we're gonna show it. We're gonna show it. We're warring still. I'm sure you can appreciate the dedication to the kingdom that we gotta participate in war rather than make war videos. There is one other factor that we need to talk about very briefly at the end of this video, which is honor gain. And, you know, as you're looking at the pre-KVK event leading up to Lost Kingdom, Eve of the Crusade, you might say, well, maybe the honor gain of alliances is a good indicator of the strength of a kingdom. And I would say that it is a pointer, but that is not definitively true. It is a pointer to the activity level of the kingdom. It influences, like, maybe they are more or less active, but I would not say that it is definitive in assessing whether or not a kingdom would win versus another one. I don't think that it is a great metric. Your ability to battle barbs doesn't translate into your ability to battle other players. Something like commander strength, I think, is a far better indicator, and the level of activity of those players is relevant. This might influence your sort of score that you provide, but I don't know. This is a tough one. I'd say this is a pretty amazing KVK we've got going. Like, people wanted to really, like, fight and do stuff and, you know, not be bored for the duration. And, you know, we've definitely accomplished that. Like I said, I think, like, all these kingdoms are pretty deserving of a reward at the end of this for all the crazy battling that they've been doing. But I guess we're still at it. We're still at it until perhaps one of them wants to come approach me and talk about that. For now, we're going to get back to slaying. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom. And more videos to come. They're going to be sick, crazy, war. Like and subscribe. This stuff is nuts. You saw the reports?